Welcome back to the MTV Solar podcast. Today's topic is going to be mtvSolar's community involvement. We'd encourage you to learn more about solar and how it impacts not only your communities, but the local community and the world around us. Our most recent episode, which is energy independence, we've had 2,600 people view that all the way through, 2,600 people, and that went out just a week or two ago. So we're excited to be sharing more information with you today. I've got the MTV Solar experts all with us today. We've got a good list of questions, and we're just going to jump right into it. Thank you very much for watching.
So, Mike, can you tell us a bit about how MTV Solar started?
I would love to tell that story. So we're building contractors in Berkeley Springs, and we're building homes for people that are moving into our beautiful little community from the Northern Virginia and DC market. So they come in and they were looking for homes that were better. Better didn't mean bigger and with more granite countertops. They defined better by a cleaner indoor air environment, built with more sustainable products, with no off-gassing, no VOCs, and with sustainably built products inside and out. So not just Energy Star appliances, but low VOC drywall adhesive and low VOC paint. And this was in around 2000. This was a brand new market. It turned into the green building movement, and we were green building before it was green building, and then we switched over and put that tagline on them and had a very successful career building houses. We were building houses that consumed less energy and that preserved the energy once it was inside the house with the envelope. So we learned a lot about the mechanical systems, the building envelope, insulation, airflow, air exchanges, all these things we learned from our subcontractors, and we also learned it by going to different courses. So that led us to exploring renewable energy, and we fell in love with that, and we transitioned from a building company to a solar company. Started the transition in 2005. By 2007, we were working on the business plan. By 8, we were selling a little bit of solar. By 9, we changed our name to MTV Solar or Mountain View Solar. So that's kind of how the company shifted from a green building company to a solar company. I see it as a progression, not a new company. It's what we were doing. It was the next component of what we were doing. And that's kind of how it all started. Also, to help us get more information out into the world about renewable energy, please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. And that way more people can learn about renewable energy and solar energy and what good it does for our communities around us. So please share the information and help us to pass the word along. Thank you.
As the company's evolved from its green energy focus, what is MTV Solar's mission?
It's a great question, Carrie. Thank you. We worked on that for a while, and we haven't really adjusted it much. So I'm going to read this so I get everything right. But our mission is to enable people throughout the region to utilize solar energy to experience energy independence and environmental stewardship. You can find that on our website as well. Our vision is to expand the awareness and the use of renewable energy through installations, education, and community outreach. So what that means to us is that we want people to learn more about renewable energy and to utilize it if they're able to, but to expand the knowledge to all groups of people, because it's a wonderful way to make energy. As you know, solar panels are solar collectors. The energy is coming from the sun. We're not making energy. We're simply collecting the abundant free energy that hits every flat surface on the planet. All we're doing is collecting it and using it to make power. It's a wonderful way to do it, and it's a wonderful model. So our largest part of the community outreach is our community give back program. And that really took a transition in January of 17. Prior to January of 17, we worked with Habitat for Humanity as a building company for years. You're taught as a building contractor, the local, HBA, the Home Builders Association, pretty much twist your arm and says, you got to come help build the Habitat house. So you got to do the siding or the roofing or the drywall or one part of it. So we, for years, as building contractors, we always participated with Habitat for Humanity. It's a wonderful mission that helps people get into a home with sweat equity, and they really do show up and work on their houses. And then we would donate a solar system to each house that was built once a year. And we did that for a long, long time on the building company. And then for the solar company, we probably did that for 5 or 6 years in a row, maybe 7. Then in January of 17, I'm looking at what else I might be able to do with the company's resources, with the people that work here. And I'm looking for how can we give back to the community in a different way. I love Habitat, still love them. We're still going to work with them, but I wanted to refocus where the energy and the money that we were going to donate would go. So we started asking around about, what small nonprofits would benefit from a reduced utility bill that would use that money for their programs. So, as you might imagine, plenty of people had suggestions, and we investigated the different groups, and we were looking for a way to help specifically medium to small size nonprofits. Larger nonprofits, from what we understand, they've got a budget that will allow them to hire a marketing group or a company or an expert to get funding to come in. The smaller companies, the smaller nonprofits, which we all know about in our communities that do wonderful work, they're not funded by the government. They're not funded by the local government. They're finding money from within the community. So we decided, I was thinking about it, I was like, I need to shift this. And I took it out to the more people in the company. And I said, what do you guys think about this idea? Let's find some small nonprofits and let's divide up where we put the solar that we're giving back and target it in our local communities where we live and work. And it was widely accepted, and that was the launch of the program in January of 2017. So it was a time when I was looking for another way to have impact in our communities. I was feeling a little bit lost. I wanted to refocus the energy that we had to give and have it have the most impact possible. So that was the birth of our community give back program. And since then, it's grown tremendously. It's become very popular with our whole company and with the customers. And we'll talk more about exactly how that works, which programs are open. And yes, we are looking for more nonprofits to partner with to help build the solar systems on their roofs a little bit at a time to reduce their operating expense. So that's kind of the vision of how it all happened. It's something I feel very proud about as a company owner and as a group of people in our company that all support this. We all put time and energy into this program, and it has wonderful direct impact to the nonprofits.
Why is solar an industry driven by the communities that we live in?
It's a great question, Carrie. If you drive into a neighborhood and you see a solar array on a rooftop in that neighborhood, there's likely to be many more homes with solar in that neighborhood. And usually that comes from community members seeing that their neighbors are going in a clean direction, another direction for their energy, and they start to ask about that. And as you get more educated and they start to see that, wow, this is really benefiting them in their house and their property value, they start to invest in solar as well. And so another thing is that solar follows good policy. So if you live in an HOA with positive policies for solar, you're going to benefit more. And if your neighbor, not about 50% of the rooftops in America are actually good for solar panels. So if you have a bunch of trees in your yard and maybe you're not a viable location for solar, but your neighbor does not, and they're making power, they're actually helping to when they're producing power, they're actually helping to benefit you as well, because their overproduction is then going into flowing out of their meter and into your home. So if I'm overproducing, my excess energy is going to go into my neighbor's home and help power their house. So they're receiving clean energy as well. So, the grid is, the largest infrastructure in the world, and we're all connected through the grid. And so if power goes out in my community, at my house, likely my neighbor's power went out as well. So if I'm producing clean energy, it's helping my neighbor lower their carbon footprint as well. So it's really, everything really is connected. And getting into the added value of the homes is another thing. If my house is appraised for a little bit more because I have solar on it, it helps the value of the homes in my neighborhood go up as well, which is also another benefit. And then you got the clean air aspect of it as well. I just did some math on it, and the installations that we've had so far over the last 11 years, we estimated produced over 30 gigawatts of energy. And how that comes out to the way it benefits our carbon footprint is we've actually offset 33,180 pounds of carbon. So that's a pretty significant amount of carbon that was that did not enter the air. And how that equates to something tangible like a tree, that equates to 155,440 30-year-old trees. And you talk about the tree's ability to absorb carbon. So since we didn't produce, or we didn't release that carbon into the air, trees didn't have to absorb it, and that relationship really kind of equates to the amount of trees that we offset. So it really is a community or a region that is growing in solar, and installing more solar everywhere is really benefiting us through many aspects. And I have solar on my house, and I'm happy that my excess generation goes to my neighbor.
Awesome.
How do you directly give back to the community?
Great question, Carrie. We've got that broken down to in several categories. We have the community give back program, which we'll talk in more detail right in a minute here. Then we have through employment and job growth and training. And then the next way is through our community outreach programs at schools, community centers, and different events where we'll educate people. Those are three major ways. And Danny's going to talk to us about the community give back model, the nuts and the bolts of how it works, how it actually works for the company and for the customers that support that within MTV Solar.
So as Mike discussed earlier, the community give back is a key piece of Mountain View's commitment to making solar and spreading solar how it can happen here in our local communities. We look at the problem. As you mentioned, a lot of larger nonprofits have larger buildings, larger footprints, have more solar options to reduce their electric bill, such as power purchase agreements and other third-party ownership, where small and medium-sized nonprofits don't have that option because their roof is smaller, their building is smaller, and their usage is smaller. In addition, a lot of small to medium-sized nonprofits spend so much money living out their mission in their community and doing good work in their community that there's not a whole lot of funds banked or saved for a rainy day or infrastructure projects like solar. In addition to that, one key incentive, the biggest incentive for solar across the country, is a tax credit. Solar on nonprofits is more difficult, large, medium, and small, but particularly medium and small, because they're not taxed. That goes for churches or a food bank or any other nonprofit in your community. They're not taxed, so if they purchase a solar array, the net cost of that is effectively this year 26% more than a business, homeowner, et cetera. So there's all kinds of problems to small nonprofits, even those with perfectly oriented roofs, in installing solar. There's all kinds of challenges there. So Mountain View Solar looked at that and really came up with a solution that's It's not the quickest solution in the world. It's not something where overnight a nonprofit will join the community give back program and the next week they will have a solar panel donated to them or an entire solar array donated to them. For me, I look at this much less as a donation program and much more as an earning program and a partnership program that sees participating nonprofits as equals, not an entity we're donating to because we have extra funding, because we can, but a nonprofit where we have equal footing to, where we have a partnership in making a solar array happen for them. The solution is that a participating nonprofit, one that partners with us, will work with us to start a community give back program. That nonprofit will spread Mountain View Solar and solar generally through whether it's a congregation or a following, membership or donor base, whatever group the nonprofit organization has, and will generate solar conversations that we can follow up on and we can turn into real projects. Homeowners, business owners, etc. And every time somebody who is connected with that nonprofit installs solar with us, they can donate one panel for a residential normal size system, 2 panels for a solar, residential solar plus battery systems, or for a larger commercial array, more. And for a nonprofit, it takes about 8 to 10 panels donated in order to make the system turn on and trigger an installation. Now, because we are not having to advertise, we're not having to spend money on social media advertising, other forms of advertising to generate conversations with people, that is largely done by the nonprofit, by recruiting people into the program. That's where the earning comes in. That's where the work comes in on the nonprofit end. That we are able to completely donate a system to a nonprofit at no charge to the nonprofit. And as people go solar, there's no charge to them. The contract value doesn't change whether they elect to participate in a community give back or not participate in a community give back. So the entire thing is generating more solar conversations with homeowners and business owners that we can help go solar. And as a result, make more solar happen in our communities to the small and medium-sized nonprofits who have some of the biggest challenges in the world at installing solar. And so every time we have a contract signed or every time we finish a project, depending on when the conversation actually happens, we ask, do you want to, or would you like to donate a panel to, at no cost, to one of our participating nonprofits? We explain the nonprofit, and once people check a box, we count one more panel in that nonprofit's array. Once we get to 8 or 10, we donate a system, and we always oversize the inverter so that we can just add panels as we go. The River House, for example, we'll talk through, which is in Cape and Bridge, West Virginia. We installed almost 2 years ago their first 8-panel array. Almost a year after that, we expanded that system with 2 additional panels where about 60 kids from the Cape and Bridge Middle School came by, watched our installation. Our installation crew came down, spoke with them about solar careers. And now, about a year and a quarter after that 2-panel installation, we're adding an additional 5. Within the next few weeks, we'll have 5 more panels up on that roof. And they are a small nonprofit. They matter to the community, but their roof space is only 24 panels. So now we are closing in on filling their roof, and just a few more panels to go, maybe a little bit more than a few, but we'll be all the way to filling their roof with 24 panels, which was the goal they set when they joined the program back in 2017.
The money for the program comes from the profits that we generate. All companies that exist in the that live on for the next year have a profit. We're simply taking part of that money that would otherwise be in the savings account and we're putting it into this program. It's simply that direct. The offset marketing expense gives the extra panel that we can always give. The initial component is the engineering work, the design work, the inverter, the racking, the rails, the material. All that supportive equipment is what we're giving. The one solar panel comes from the fact that the nonprofit talked to their folks and someone said, hey, I'd like to go solar. It's like, great. If you're attached to the River House, then we will give a panel in your name to the River House. And that one panel is the offset marketing expense that Danny was talking about. And that's how the numbers flow. And that's why it's, I think it's been very effective.
Can you expand on how Mountain View Solar is involved in employment and education in our communities?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something that's near and dear to my heart. You know, everybody that works in solar, at least 11 years ago when we started, was brand new. Now there's so many more opportunities in solar in our country, and there's still a lot on the East Coast, and in our region, which is more rural, there's still lots of opportunities. But more often than not, everybody, I had an interview this morning, and it's a young man who's interested in solar, always thought it was a good idea, but he has none of the skills that we need for solar that he's coming in with. He's got no training. So we've been training solar installers for 12 years, and we'll continue to train solar installers for 12 more years. It's, there's not a good resource out there for students to be trained all the way to where we want them. There are opportunities out there with programs at community colleges and vocational schools that give some of the beginning training. So the way that we're directly involved with our community is that the people that live in our communities where we work are also where we draw, the resource to get people to come and work for us. So that makes sense because this is where we work and where we live, and you're going to hear about us. You're going to say, hey, I was wondering about solar. And we're going to say, yes, we have a great training program that we've developed, and we're very engaged in that. And that brings the knowledge level up, increases employment, and brings the jobs numbers up, which everybody wants. And they're good paying jobs. Solar jobs across the nation are above living wage jobs. They're higher pay. They oftentimes have benefits with them, like we have benefits in a small company. And there's a career path that's exciting and can be attained rather quickly. So over the years, we've worked with lots of different groups, but the one that sticks out the most is the Hagerstown Community College internship program. We were engaged in that program for probably 7 years in a row. And I literally can't count the number of internships that we had. And I've lost count of the number of people that were interns that became employees in our company and then stayed or moved on to work in California, wherever they went to go next. Well, once they got into the solar industry, they stayed. So a perfect example of that is Mike Studholme. He's one of our solar experts on the screen today. And Mike, why don't you tell us, I remember this story very well, but why don't you tell us the story from your perspective?
Yeah, sure. Kind of the way it started was my uncle informed me that there's a Hagerstown Community College program. It's actually a alternative energy degree. It's a 2-year degree. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. I had a 2-year degree in business administration, and my uncle told me to look into it. And when I looked at it, I decided, I always knew that, I was always interested in clean energy, clean air and clean water, something that is very important to me, and doing something that mattered was also very important. So I looked at it and decided that, yeah, I'm gonna go to this this Hagerstown Community College and get an alternative energy degree. And I moved out to Martinsburg, West Virginia, and Uncle JB let me move in with him. It's kind of funny, I tell him, hey, I don't have a job. I'm not gonna make much money while I'm out here. I don't know how I'm gonna pay you. And he said, don't worry about it. Just pay the electric bill. And that was a good deal for me because Uncle JB has 40 solar panels on his house. So that was $5 a month that I could, I could scrounge up, no problem. So went to college, started going on my degree there, and part of the program was an internship. And Mountain View allowed me to come in and intern here, and and now they can't get rid of me. I just stayed. One of the things that the degree really helped me was prepare me for the industry, not just as an installer, because it's important to note that you don't have to be on roofs all the time installing solar panels. There's a lot of jobs in the solar industry that don't require manual labor, like sales, for instance, engineering, design, lead qualifications, account management. the list goes on. So there's a lot of there's a lot of good jobs in solar that aren't just installation. And I have had my hand in all of them. And that part of that started with the internship program, where I was working in the office, working alongside accounts management and lead qualification and stuff like that, and learning how to use a SketchUp design for program for designing solar arrays for homes. And from there, you just continue to build and grow in the industry. And I've been very fortunate to not only work in this industry. It's very rewarding, but also use my degree. So that was something that really the Hagerstown Community College program was great. And I would highly recommend that anybody listening to this podcast look into it and go to that program and learn about clean energy. It's a great program.
That's awesome. Mike, how many years have you been working with us, including the internship? Do you remember?
8 years.
8.
Yeah.
Okay.
8 years,
Great.
including the internship. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had, I think, 8 employees actually through Hagerstown Community College, and today we still have 4.
Yeah.
4, I think. Yeah, 4 employees that are still here. So it's great. And there's other we're working in a trade, and this is a really well-paying trade to get into.
Great. Thanks, Mike. The other part of our involvement would be our school program. So we do community outreach all the time. We go and speak at elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, colleges, 2-year schools, vocational schools. We're always spreading information about the industry. Part of that is to let young people know what's available to them, because it was a while ago for me, but I remember when I was younger and I was like, what am I going to do? What do I want to do? And I didn't know, but what I wanted was more exposure to more opportunity. So when we had that talk, I run into people 10 years after I was speaking to them at a grade school in Berkeley Springs, and the guy's working somewhere else goes, hey, you're that solar guy. I remember you came into my 3rd grade class, man. I love what you guys are doing. And don't you know that within a few minutes, I'm like, hey, so what are you doing? You looking for a new job? And we're going to have that discussion. But there's a big impact on those little minds. We know that education starts early. If you make solar normal for kids, they grow up believing it's normal and that it's going to be adopted everywhere. A 2nd grader will tell you, when I say, how much solar is there out in the world? They think it's half of the energy. And they think that because that's what it should be. Each grade has a different impression of what's happening, and I ask those questions all the time. I want to know what they're thinking, and then I can help expand on that. So that program's been great for us over the years. I hope that explains a little bit more about how we're connected to our community. It's something, as a business owner, I'm passionate about. I want not just jobs, I want careers. And that's what we offer here. It's a career path. The faster you learn and the quicker you get to certifications, the more we can pay you, and the more responsibility you'll gain in our company. So, Mike, I love that story of yours, because I still remember the first day you came in. You're like a young kid, didn't know anything about anything, and now you literally have worked in every segment of our company, and now you're in sales. It's been good to watch you move around, and now you've landed in the spot where you have the most experience of any of our salespeople, and that helps you well in your sales, I imagine.
It does.
The Kids Club of Northern Shenandoah Valley is close to my heart because they serve my family. My children attend there. They're a nonprofit serving the Frederick County and Winchester City school children, and they also support their caregivers. So they benefit from the club too. It's a safe place for our children to go to for after school care. They provide mentoring programs and additional educational support and family support, which many of the children attending the club don't have access to if it wasn't for the Kids Club resources. as they're a nonprofit, they're always struggling to make ends meet and raise enough funds to provide these programs for the children. So I came to Mike with the idea of pursuing a program with the Kids Club to help them save money on their expenses so they could put that into the educational programs for the children. And I got to work with Danny to help move this idea forward. And we have an installation coming up shortly in the fall, which is amazing. Without the Kids Club, I wouldn't be able to work for Mountain View Solar. I'm a single mom, I'm a widow. I have 3 small children, and I could not work a full-time job without their support. I don't have the childcare. So with the help and support of the Kids Club and Mike employing me and taking a chance on a single mom, I've been able to pursue a career in solar too, and I'm really happy to be part of the team.
Thank you, Carrie. And we are excited for the Kids Club. Zooming in on a flyer for our kickoff event that we had last November, showing some of the kids, including Carrie, who are excited about solar at their nonprofit, at their location. So we're going to be installing a 23-panel system, which is right on our road to get them to 100% solar, so that as much money can go towards the local families and their mission as possible. So we're excited to install this array, and this is last November. So within a year, they've been able to, with a partnership, generate a fully donated array.
The next one we're going to talk about is the Laurel Center, which is in Winchester. It's a domestic abuse shelter for people that need their services. We found out about them. This was the first one I found in January of 17 when I was looking for a way to reach out. I heard about the Laurel Center from multiple different people in the Winchester area as a nonprofit that could use some support. So we contacted them. Little did I know that they actually had a building that they had started to build, and they ran out of money. And then they had just recently been able to get the funding necessary to build the new building about the same time that we wanted to donate. So here's a good picture of the 10-panel solar array that we put up probably 2 years ago. And I believe they're going to be coming up on some more donated panels soon. So there's an example of it on a standing seam roof. We were able to work with Shockey, the large GC in Winchester, that while they were building it, we were able to get in there and rough in or put in the conduits in behind the drywall and make it a seamless, beautiful installation. Whenever we can install a project while it's being built, we do. It makes it look better and go together better. It's just another part of the mechanical system. Another one of our give back programs is the Independent School of Winchester, serving the city of Winchester in Frederick County, Virginia. And it's a wonderful small school where they're very involved in the arts programs. And it's just a wonderful place. Our kids attend that school. And it was also probably in conjunction with the Laurel Center was the second give back program that we created. And it happened because some of the parents that I know and that we know said, "Hey, Mike, I heard you're involved in solar." And I said, "We are. And we'd be interested in getting some information about solar." And I said, "Great." And then I said to them while I was talking to them about solar, I said, "Look, we're thinking about putting together like a group that if I can get, some interest from other parents, we'll donate a system to the school." And several of the parents that bought solar said, "That's a great idea. We would like to participate in that." And that was driven by the nonprofit community, the parents that said, "That's a great idea. We'd like to participate in that. We want solar, and if you donate a panel to them, that's even better." So that was how that one was born. And Danny, here's a picture of the beginning of the array. We have an oversized inverter there, and I think we've got 15 solar panels, and there'll be another, I think, 5 or 6 panels going on this fall. And this job went in, I believe, was it last year or the year before last? I can't remember, but we're going to add to it. So this is an example of a system goes in, and then over time you add 2 panels or 4 panels or 5 panels to continue to grow the system. As you grow the system, the utility bill drops more and more. And I know from being involved in the school that the money that they've saved on the utility bill goes directly into the programming for the children, and it helps them buy materials to teach them with. I think I might have bought some playground equipment. It's done all kinds of good things for the school. So there's another example of one of our give backs. The next one we have is the River House, and that's one that Danny's intimately involved with, and he can share the story there.
Yes, so building off what we talked about earlier, the River House has been an amazing cornerstone of the community give back for some time, where it was one of the first ones that started up, had a ton of energy that Tim Reese, particularly in Cape and Bridge, gave to the program, spreading it, was able to generate an initial solar array that was installed in the fall of 2018. And then beautifully, and the picture I'm going to show you is two people on our installation team adding panels to the array that are up there now. If you drive on 50 West towards Romney, you pass through Cape and Bridge, and you'll see the River House on the left. This was an event where, like I mentioned earlier, middle school students came by, saw the installation. One of them was giving our camera the stink eye there, and heard about solar. So we're proud to partner with the River House, an amazing arts organization with amazing coffee and food too, in Cape and Bridge, West Virginia. And we're adding 5 panels to the system very soon here.
We're going to be putting in 10 panels here sometime this year, and it's going on the Friendsville Fire Department, and they're excited about it. The whole community there is, asking Rob almost daily. Every time we talk to somebody, they're asking them, when it's going in, and we got the permit, and we got the interconnection, and we're ready to go.
That's great. Yeah, that's been around a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to say about this is that we have more give back programs that we've done in other places. This is a highlight of what we're currently working on, and we're happy to share the resources of our small company with the communities that we live and work in. We believe that the stewardship and the support of your local nonprofits is something that all small businesses should do, and I believe a lot of them do. They give back in lots of different ways. The strength of small businesses in our country have been challenged, most recently with COVID. There's always seems to be a challenge out there, but I really believe it's the backbone of our American economy. And we're happy to be able to participate in these programs. And it's not just us. Each one of these nonprofits has people that are intimately involved in trying to make the program work. That's the recipe that makes it successful. So we're always looking for other places and other nonprofits that have an interest in solar, that have a group of people that might be interested in looking into buying solar, that would like to see a system on their roof. Like Danny said, it doesn't happen overnight, but it is a commitment that we've had since 2017. It'll be part of our future commitments for the next decade, I'm sure. Unless something better comes along, we're going to continue to work on that and help all these nonprofits reduce their expenses. And we know that nonprofits, specifically nonprofits, they watch every dollar so carefully because it's so hard to get money in those groups. So every dollar they save on the utility bill, they tell us the stories about what they use that for. They're buying food for people that are residents. They're helping with program material for children. They're reaching out to the arts community with a music program that they were able to fund. All these things happen because of the money they saved on the utility bill. So I'd like to say that I think we're going to wrap that up for today. I'd like to encourage you to like and share and subscribe this information. And please pass the information on to people that you know. We hope that you found this informative. We'd like to ask you that if you've got specific topics you'd like to hear about or questions that you have, please reach out to us on our website. You can find us on Facebook and also on YouTube. That's where we have this information posted, and we will provide the links to each one of these nonprofits that we mentioned including water emissions. Thank you very much for watching.